We're back to read today. Oh, let's roll our way. I'm going to roll. What up, everybody? Shalom. What's the business? Welcome back to the next episode of Reading with Shiloh. With Shiloh, what's up? What's the business with you? How y'all doing today? Shalom, shalom, shalom. I hope everybody is well. I hope you have opened your eyes with all you need to succeed today, because you have all you need to succeed. And that is the objective, to succeed at great and succeed at small. Let's succeed. Shalom. So we're back with the next episode of the next sea of pages that we're about to continue to roll through. The next sea of pages, man, the Black Jacobins. The Black Jacobins. I said Jacobins, but I know I pronounce it wrong. Jacobins is how it's pronounced. The Black Jacobins by C.L.R. James, man. We started reading it yesterday, and we got to the prologue, and that's what we're going to pick up at today. The prologue, and from the prologue, we'll start chapter 1, which is called The Property. Chapter 1, The Property. And chapter 1 is quite a few pages. Chapter 1, about 26 pages for chapter 1. Maybe a little less, 20 pages, maybe 20 pages for chapter 1. But that's what we're going to get in today. Into the sea of pages laid to us by C.L.R. James, man. What treasures await us? What truths can we expose? What hidden things have they hidden in the book that many of us has not taken the time out to venture off into? The waters might be a little bit too deep, but I got my life jacket on, baby. I'm ready to roll. And I can swim. Life jacket, I could swim. I'm ready to roll. Yeah, I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to roll and go. And I hope you are too. So come on in. Be careful when you enter in the boat, man. Don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Tell your people, man. Shiloh out here reading shit. We doing things, trying to better ourselves, baby. Hopefully you come along for the ride. Hopefully you come along for the ride. So prepare yourself. Oh, man. It's getting cold again. It's getting cold again. It's getting cold again, man. Oh, I started carving again the other day. Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. When I read and carve, I feel a lot better. I'll be feeling a lot better. Sometimes the carving frustrates me, but doing so, seeing the things come together, seeing it manifest itself, makes me feel some type of way, man. Makes me feel good. Be what I want it to be. So, oh man. So this is the one I started the other day. I got pretty good. I'm so far. I got the legs cut out. Well, starting to get them cut out. Got the little indention in it. So it look like they behind them. I got to give the perspective. I have to give a certain perception. It has to look a certain type of way. A little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. Succeed, succeed, succeed. A little bit at a time. The same way with the book. Succeed, succeed, succeed. A little bit at a time until we finish it up. They say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, baby. One bite at a time. So we're going to knock off and roll these sea of pages one rowing session at a time. One rowing session, one episode at a time. And as we do so, we're going to try to build better habits, man. We're going to try to, lose a little weight, become strong in our minds, become strong in our bodies is what we're going to try to do. We're going to work our body, work our mind, and then work our body again. That is the routine. So I ask you 25 things. Give me 25 things, whatever it is. 25 things. It don't matter what it is. 25 things. Let's get it, man. What you going to do? What you going to do? I'm going to do some jumping jacks. I need some jumping jacks in my life. 25 of them, man, so we can go ahead and read. Get off your fat ass. I got to get off my fat ass. I'm not fat, but I feel fat, you know. I could lose some weight. I could do something. We all could do something. We all can be better, a little bit better. 25 things. You give me 25 things, I'm going to give you 25 things. So make sure I got room. Let's get it, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. I gave you 50 because I'm the captain of the ship, baby. Since I'm the captain, I'll give you 50. But all I ask of you is 25. All I ask of the watch is 25. Come on, every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. Oh, shit. Get my stuff situated and set up. Every little bit counts. You never know what that 25 or that 50 might do. You never know how it's going to help you, man. Like I said, we're trying to build habits. Some habits take 14 days, some take 30 days, some take 200 and something days. And we got to push through. We got to persevere. We got to be disciplined, consistent. And sometimes that is an issue. But we have to do it because we have all we need to succeed. We have all. You have all we need to succeed. You have all you need to succeed. I have all I need to succeed. Let's succeed. Let's get into it. The Black Jacobins. The Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution by C.L.R. James. Let's finish it. Let's get into it. Hey, if you're in there, shalom, everybody. That's in the clouds watching your ball. Watching me rule, which I don't mind. Welcome. Come on in. Take your shoes off when you enter the house. Take your shoes off. Say something in the chat so we can know the chat working. You know, it don't have to be much. Shalom. Hey, how you doing? Grand Rising. Give me some pirate shit. You know? What pirates say? R. Shiver me timbers. You know what? Whatever the pirates say, man. Let's get it going, man. And I'm gonna I'm gonna be the best pirate on these sea of pages out here, like Luffy. I'm gonna be the one. All right, let's get into it. Let's roll. The Black Jacobins. This is part 2, the prologue. Part 2, prologue and chapter 1. We're gonna see how far we can get into chapter 1 today. The prologue to the Black Jacobins, Toussaint Louverture and the San Domingo Revolution by C.L.R. James. Christopher Columbus, prologue. Christopher Columbus landed first in the New World at the island of San Salvador, and after praising God, inquired urgently for gold. The natives, Red Indians, were peaceable and friendly and directed him to Haiti, a large island nearly as large as Ireland, rich, they said, in the yellow metal. He sailed to Haiti. One of his ships being wrecked, the Haitian Indians helped him so willingly that very little was lost, and of all the articles which they brought on the shore, not one was stolen. Shit, it wouldn't have been the other way around. The Spaniards, the most advanced Europeans of their day, annexed the island, calling it Hispaniola. It's crazy, man. Shit like that is crazy. I could just go somewhere and don't matter who there, claim it for myself. Shalola. I'm gonna name this Shallow Rock. And it took the backward natives under their protection. They introduced Christianity, forced labor in mines, murder, rape, bloodhounds, strange diseases, and artificial famine by the destruction of cultivation to starve the rebellious. These and other requirements of the higher civilization reduced the native population from an estimated 500,000, perhaps 1,000,000, to 60,000 in 15 years. Decimation. Decimation. They decimated them. Fake famines. Man, they do that shit now. Fake famines, diseases, murders, rapes, shit. Bloodhounds, strange diseases. Las Casas, a Dominican priest with a conscience, traveled to Spain to plead for the abolition of native slavery. But without coercion of the natives, how could the colony exist? All the natives received as wages was Christianity, and they could be good Christians without working in the mines. Man. The Spanish government compromised. It abolished the repartimientos, I don't know how to pronounce that shit. repartimienots. Repartimientos. The Spanish government compromised. It abolished the repartimientos, or forced labor, in law, while its agents in the colony maintained it in fact. And Las Casas, haunted at the prospect of seeing before his eyes the total destruction of the population. Let me mark it, though. Repartimientos. I know it's got to be some Spanish stuff. So that's the Terminator. Repartimientos. That report on Mentos. Repartimientos. What's up, my boy?
Can you give me this one, please?
Yes, sir, I sure can. How you feeling today?
Good.
All righty. Go start your work.
Oh, in my books?
Yes, sir. Repartiment. repartimientos. Repartimientos. Oh shit, it's all in Spanish. Repartimento. The repartimento was a colonial labor system imposed upon the indigenous population of Spanish America and the Philippines. I got pictures though. Look what they did to them people. That's some repartimientos. Let's see if they have repartimento in English. The Spanish word repartimento, translates to distribution or allotment in English. It was used in colonial Spanish America to describe a labor system and the purchase and sale of goods. The labor system. The repartimento system was a forced labor system that required indigenous people to work on farms and in mines and on public projects. The system was similar to other tribute labor systems, such as the Mita of the Inca Empire. Decline of the system. The repartimento system declined as the indigenous population decreased due to exposure to European diseases, I bet, and the Spanish colonies increasingly relied on enslaved Africans for labor. And by the 1820s, most of the Spanish colonies in Central and South America had gained independence. Repartimiento. repartimento. Thank you, Terminator. The Spanish government compromised and it abolished the repartimientos, or labor or forced labor, in law, while its agents in the colony maintained it in fact. Las Casas, haunted at the prospect of seeing before his eyes the total destruction of a population within one generation, hit on the expedient of importing the more robust Negroes from a populous Africa. In 1517, Charles V. authorized the export of, or Charles V. authorized the export of 15,000 slaves to San Domingo. And thus priest and king launched on the world the American slave trade and slavery. The Spanish settlement founded by Columbus was on the southeast of the island, and in 1629 some wandering Frenchmen sought a home in the little island of Tortuga, 6 miles off the north coast of San Domingo, to be followed by Englishmen, the Dutchmen from Santa Cruz. And Tortuga was healthy, and in the forests of western San Domingo roamed millions of wild cattle, which could be hunted for food and hides. To Tortuga came fugitives from justice, escaped galley slaves, debtors unable to pay their bills, adventurers seeking adventure or quick fortunes, men of all crimes and all nationalities. French, British, and Spaniards slaughtered one another for nearly 30 years, and the British were actually in possession of Tortuga at one time. But by 1659, the French buccaneers prevailed. They sought the suzerainty. What is that? Suzerainty. The suzerainty of France, and demanded a chief and some women. Suzerainty. 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 Anybody know what it is? Any of you 5 that's on here? Suzerainty. Suzerainty. Not sovereignty, sucker. Suzerainty. 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 The right, suzerainty in English, means the right of a country to partly control another. Japan acknowledged Russian suzerainty over the island of Sakhalin. See also suzerain. Suzerainty. What is the difference between sovereignty and suzerainty? The rights and obligations of a vessel are called vassalage, and the rights and obligations of a suzerain are called suzerainty. Suzerainty differs from sovereignty in that the dominant power allows tributary states to be technically independent, but enjoy only limited self-rule. I think that's what we're here in America is suzerains. Suzerains. We're under suzerainty. Each state is under suzerainty. From Tortuga, they laid a firm basis in San Domingo and moved there. To drive away these persistent intruders, the Spaniards organized a great hunt and killed all the bulls they could find in order to ruin the cattle business. The French retaliated by the cultivation of coca and then indigo and cotton. Already they knew the sugarcane, and lacking capital, they raided the English island of Jamaica and stole money and 2,000 Negroes. French, British, and Spaniards raided and counter-raided and burnt to the ground, but in 1695, the Treaty of Ryswick between France and Spain gave the French a legal right to the western part of the island. And in 1734, the colonists began to cultivate coffee. The land was fertile, and France offered a good market, but they wanted labor. In addition to Negroes, they brought whites, the engagees who would be freed after a period of years. I guess that's in the indentured servants. So little did they bring the Negroes, because these were barbarous or black, that the early laws prescribed similar regulations to both black slaves and white engagees. But under the regime of those days, the whites could not stand the climate. So the slavers brought more and more Negroes in numbers that leaped by thousands every year until the drain from Africa ran into millions. Let's see what the engagees is. And that's the prologue. That's the prologue. But let's see what the engagees is. Going to chapter 1, the property. ENGAG. Yes, engages.
Engages.
That's not the French way. That's not the French way to pronounce it. Engages.
Engages.
I thought so, but it's not the French way, because it has a accent on the E. Let's see what it means. What is the pronunciation? Engaging. Pleasant, attractive, and charming. No. The whites, the engagees. Let's try French. Engagees, French. Fuck. French.
Engagement. Engagement. Fiancé.
That's what I want. That's what I want. While I'm waiting. Chapter 1, the property. Get to what I need, sucker.
Reading. So let's dive into today's word. Engagé.
Engagé.
Committed to or supportive of a cause or policy, socially or politically active.
Engagé. Engagé. Committed to or supportive of a policy. The engagees. These whites, the engagees, the committed to or supportive of a policy, who would be freed after a period of years. Engagé. Engagé. What is the difference between an engagé and an indentured servant? Engagé volunteer. Let's see what that is. A military volunteer is a person who enlists in military. Engagé. Indentured. Engagé an engagé was a French-Canadian indentured servant who worked in the fur trade. That's in Canada. The term was used in the 18th century. How did the engagés work? They canoed on rivers and lakes. They performed maintenance, loading, unloading, steering, and portaging. They set up camps. They navigated. They interacted with indigenous people, the engagés. What were the rights? They had no rights in the colony while tied to their employer. They could not own property, get married, or conduct business. And after their contract was over, they could return to France or stay in the colony. How did they compare to other voyagers? They were different from free licensed voyagers, independent merchant couriers, and débois, or seafaring sailors, the engagés. Further use of see engage and further information, white slavery. The engagé means white slavery. The engagé system of indentured servitude existed in the new, let me look at this. Let's look at that. No, sucker. That. The engagé system of indentured servitude existed in New France, the United States of Louisiana, the United States of Louisiana, and the French West Indies from the 18th century to the 19th century. White servitude in Saint Domingo, that's what I'm looking for. I want to see white servitude in Louisiana, though. White slave children of New Orleans. Pooh. The New Orleans Canal were between 8,000 and 20,000 Irish engagés, indentured servants died. Louisiana had a markedly different pattern of slavery compared to other states in America. In the American South, as a result of its Louisiana Creole heritage. The scarcity of slaves made Creole planters turn to petits habitants, or Creole peasants, and immigrants indentured servitude to supply manual labor. They complemented paid labor with slave labor, and on many plantations, free people of color and whites toiled side by side with slaves. This multi-class state of affairs converted many minds to the abolition of slavery, and high yields of the Creole plantations were partially obtained by better agricultural technology, but also by a more rational use of manual labor. The engagé. Let's see the engagé servitude in Saint Domingo. Engagé. Slaves having a stick fighting a white engagé. Indentured servitude is standing on the left. As the social system in Saint Dominic began eroding, after the 1760s, the plantation economy of Saint Dominic also began weakening. The price of slaves doubled between 1750 and 1780. Saint Dominican land tripled in price during the same period, and sugar prices still increased, but at a much lower rate than before. The profitability of other crops like coffee collapsed in 1770, causing many planters to go into debt. And the planters of Saint Dominic were eclipsed in their profits by enterprising businessmen. They no longer had a guarantee on their plantation investment, and the slave trading economy came under increased scrutiny. Along with the establishment of the French abolitionist movement, the Société des Amis des Noirs, the Société des Amis des Noirs, the French economists, demonstrated that paid labor or indentured servitude were much more cost-effective than slave labor. In principle, the widespread implementation of indentured servitude or engagés on plantations could have produced the same output as slave labor. And however, the Bourbon King Louis XIV Louis XVI, didn't want to change the labor system in the colonies, as slave labor was directly responsible for allowing France to surpass Britain in trade. Slaves, however, became expensive, each one costing around 300 Spanish dollars, some 7,333 grams of silver, valued at roughly $5,900, with the mid-2023 price of slavery, ignoring signorage, whatever that means. So each slave at that time was about $6,000 a slave. To counteract expensive slave labor, white indentured servants were imported, and white indentured servants usually worked for 5 to 7 years, and their masters provided them housing, food, and clothing. St. Dominic gradually increased its reliance on indentured servitude, known as petits blancs or engagés, petits blancs or engagés, and by the 1789, about 6% of all white Saint Dominicans were employed as labor or on plantations along with slaves. 6%. 6%. I wonder what the other percentage was. If it's 6% of whites, that means it's 94% left. 94% could it be broken down to the indigenous and the so-called Africans, the engagés. Okay, we'll leave it at that. That's good. I'll rock with that. Engagés. Chapter 1, the property. The slavers scoured the coast of Guyana. As they devastated an area, they moved westward and then south, decade after decade, past the Niger, past the Niger, down the Congo coast, past Loango and Angola, around the Cape of Good Hope, and by 1789, even as far as Mozambique on the eastern side of Africa. Guyana remained their chief hunting ground. From the coast, they organized expeditions far into the interior, and they set the simple tribesmen fighting against each other with modern weapons over thousands of square miles. The propagandists of the time claimed that however cruel was the slave traffic, the African slave in America was happier than in his own African civilization. Ours, too, is an age of propaganda. We excel our ancestors only in system and organization. They lied as fluently and as brazenly. And in the 16th century, Central America was a territory of peace and happy civilization. Traders traveled thousands of miles from one side of the continent to another without molestation, and the tribal wars from which the European pirates claimed to deliver the people were mere sham fights. It was a great battle when half a dozen men were killed, and it was on a peasantry in many respects superior to the serfs in large areas of Europe that the slave trade fell, and tribal life was broken up, and millions of distribalized Africans were let loose upon each other. The unceasing destruction of crops led to cannibalism, and the captive women became concubines and degraded the status of the wife. Tribes had to supply slaves and be sold as slaves themselves, and violence and ferocity became the necessities for survival, and ferocity survived. The stockades of grinning skulls and human sacrifices, the selling of their own children as slaves, these horrors were the products of an intolerable pressure of the African peoples, which became fiercer through the centuries as the demands of industry increased and the methods of coercion were perfected. The slaves were collected in the interior, fastened one to another in columns, loaded with heavy stones of 40 to 50 pounds in weights to prevent attempts at escape, and then marched the long journey to the sea. sometimes hundreds of miles, and the weakly and sick dropping to die in the African jungle. Some were brought to the coast by canoe, lying in the bottom of the boats for days on end, their hands bound, their faces exposed to the tropical sun and the tropical rain, their backs on the water, which was never bailed out. And at the same ports, at the slave ports, they were pinned into trunks for the inspection of the buyers, night and day. Man, sounds horrible. Thousands of humans beings were packed in these dens of putrefaction so that no European could stay in them for longer than a quarter of an hour without fainting. The Africans fainted and recovered and fainted and died, the mortality in the trunks being over 20%. And outside in the harbor, waiting to empty the trunks as they filled, was the captain of the slave ship, with so clear a conscience that one of them, in the intervals of waiting to enrich British capitalism with the profits of another valuable cargo, enrich British religion by composing the hymn, "How Sweet the Name of Jesus Sounds." Shut your ass up, pink people. I think they still try to lullaby us to sleep with this humbug. On the ships, the slaves were packed in the hold and galleries, one above the other, and each was given only 4 to 5 feet of length and 2 or 3 feet of height, so that they could neither lie at full length nor sit upright, contrary to the lies that have been spread so pertinaciously about Negro docility. The revolts at the port of embarkation and on board were insistent. Let's see if I'm pronouncing that right. Insistent. INCESSANT. Insistent. So that the slaves had to be chained, right hand to right leg, left hand to left leg, and attached in rows to long iron bars. In this position, they lived for the voyage, and coming up once a day for exercise, and allowed the sailors to clean the pails. But when the cargo was rebellious or the weather bad, then they stayed below for weeks at a time. Shit, sound like 23-hour lockdown to me, baby. That's what it sounds like. Incessant. Oh,
Here's the definition of incessant.
I was correct.
Something regarded as unpleasant, continuing without pause or interruption.
Incessant.
Incessant.
Incessant. I was correct. Let me go back. What was the definition again? Incessant, of something regarding as unpleasant, continue without pause or interruption. The incessant beat of the music. The revolts at the port of embarkation and on board were continuing without pause or interruption. Man, they was always fighting. They was always revolting. It never stopped. It never stopped. The revolts on board were incessant, so that the slaves had to be chained. Oh yeah, it was so much. They was doing so much. They was trying to fight to get free so much that they chained them, sisters. Right leg to the right arm, left leg to the left hand to the left leg. Shit. The close proximity of so many naked human beings, their bruised and festering flesh, the phoetic air, the foetid air. What's foetid? Foetid. The foetid air, the prevailing dysentery, the accumulation of filth, turned these holes into hell. And during the storms, the hatches were battened down, and in the close and loathsome darkness, they were hurled from one side to another by the heaving vessel, held in position by the chains on their bleeding flesh. Man, every time that shit weighed, it will pull at you. Every time it weighed, it will pull at you. Foated. Foated. Not Fulton. Foated. Not voted. Foated. Foated.
Here's a map of
I don't want that bitch.
fetid.
Fetid. That's not how it's pronounced. That's not you. Fetid. What is the definition of fetid? Fetid. Festering flesh, the fetid air. Let's see what is the meaning of fetid air? Smelling extremely bad and stale. Fetid air, the fetid air. Ooh, that funky air. It was funky now. Funk. No place on earth, observed one writer of the time, concentrated so much misery as the holes of the slave ships. And twice a day, at 9 and at 4, they received their food. To the slave traders, they were articles of trade and no more. A captain held up by calms and adverse winds was known to have poisoned his cargo. Another killed some of his slaves to feed the others with the flesh. Damn, they forced them in cannibalism. And they died not only from the regime, but their grief and rage and despair. They undertook vast hunger strikes, undid their chains and hurled themselves on the cruel and futile attempts at insurrection. And what could these inland tribesmen do on the open sea in a complicated sailing vessel? To brighten their spirits, it became the custom to having them up on the deck once a day and force them to dance. Man, that remind me of in Amistad. I guess that part in Amistad was real. Some took the opportunity to jump overboard, uttering cries of triumph as they cleared the vessel and disappeared below the surface. And fear of their cargo bred a savage cruelty in the crew. And one captain, to strike terror into the rest, killed a slave and divided heart, liver, and entrails into 300 pieces, made each of the slaves eat one, threatening those who refused with the same torture. And such incidents were not rare. Common practice. Given the circumstances, such things were and are inevitable, and nor did the system spare the slavers. Every year, 1/5 of all who took part in the African trade died. All American and the West Indies took slaves, and when the ship reached the harbor, the cargo came up on deck to be bought. The purchasers examined them for defects, looked at the teeth, pinched the skin, sometimes tasted the perspiration to see if the slave's blood was pure and his health was good as his appearance. Some of the women affected a curiosity, the indulgence of which, like a horse, would have caused them to be kicked 20 yards across the deck. But the slave had to stand it. Then, in order to restore the dignity which might have been lost by too intimate an examination, the purchaser spat in the face of the slave. Having become the property of his owner, he was branded on both sides of the breast with a hot iron. His duties were explained to him by the interpreters, and a priest instructed him in the first principles of Christianity. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. The stranger in St. Domingo was awakened by the cracks of the whip. the stifled cries and the heavy groans of the Negroes who saw the sun rise only to curse it for its renewal of their labors and their pains. Their work began at daybreak. At 8, they stopped for a short breakfast, and worked again till midday. They began again at 2 o'clock and worked until evening, and sometimes till 10 or 11. The Swiss travelers, damn, man, they worked, and people complain about these 14-hour days. Man, I done work all day. Bitch, you ain't did shit. Ain't did nothing. Them slaves was doing everything. A Swiss traveler has left a famous description of a gang of slaves at work. They were about 100 men and women of different ages, all occupied in digging ditches in the cane field, and the majority of them naked or covered with rags. The sun shone down with full force on their heads. Sweat rolled from all parts of their bodies, and their limbs, weighed down by the heat, fatigued with the weight of their picks and by the resistance of the clay soil, baked hard enough to break their implements, strained themselves to overcome every obstacle. A mournful silence reigned. Exhaustion was stamped on every face, but the hour of rest had not yet come, and the pitiless eye of the manager patrolled the gang, and several foremen armed with long whips moved periodically between them, giving stinging blows to all who, worn out by fatigue, were compelled to take a rest, men or women, young or old, it didn't matter. This was no isolated picture. The sugar plantation demanded an exacting and ceaseless labor. The tropical earth is baked hard by the sun, and round every carry of land intended for cane, it was necessary to dig a large ditch to ensure circulation of air. And young canes required attention for the first 3 or 4 months and grew to mature in 14 to 18 months. Cane could be planted and would grow at any time of the year, and the reaping of one crop was a signal for immediate digging of ditches and the planting of another. And once cut, they had to be rushed to the mill, lest the juice became acid by fermentation. The extraction of the juice and manufacture of the raw sugar went on for 3 weeks a month, 16 or 18 hours a day for 7 or 8 months in the year, and worked like animals. The slaves were housed like animals in huts built around the square, planted with provisions and fruits. These huts were about 20 to 25 feet long, 12 feet wide, and about 15 feet in height, divided by partitions into 2 or 3 rooms, and they were windowless, and light entered only by the door. The floor was beaten earth, the bed was of straw, hides, or rude contrivances of cords tied on posts, and on these slept indiscriminately mothers, father, and children. And defenseless against their masters, they struggled with outwork and its usual complement, underfeeding. The Negro Code, Louis XIV's attempt to ensure them humane treatment, ordered that they should be given every week 2 pots and a half of manioc. Let's see what some manioc is. I wonder if manioc is like corn. Manioc. No, manioc is a fruit. I think it's a fruit. Manioc, 3 cassavas, 2 pounds of salt beef, and 3 pounds of salted fish. Manioc. Manioc.
Flights from Lafayette to Philadelphia leaving March 15th and coming back March 22nd start.
Manioc. Manioc.
Flights from
Shut your ass.
Maniac.
Hey, yappa. The manioc, I guess it's the manioc and the cassava tree go hand in hand. It's a manioc. The manioc. About food enough to last a healthy man for 3 days. And instead, their masters gave them half a dozen pints of coarse flour, rice, or peas, and half a dozen herrings, and worn out by their labors all through the day and far into the night, many neglected to cook and ate the food raw. The ration was so small and given to them so irregularly that often the last half of the week found them with nothing. And even the 2 hours they were given in the middle of the day and the holidays on Sunday and feast days were not for rest, but in order that they might cultivate a small piece of land to supplement their regular rations. And hardworking slaves cultivated vegetables and raised chickens to sell in the towns to make a little in order to buy rum and tobacco. Hoo-wee, what you working for? And here and there, a Napoleon of finance, by luck and industry, could make enough to purchase his freedom. Their masters encouraged them in this practice of cultivation, for in years of scarcity, the Negroes died in thousands, and epidemics broke out. The slaves fled out of the woods, and plantations were ruined. Fled into the woods, and the plantations were ruined. We're going to stop there. We're going to stop there for right now. I need my ink pen, man. Where did my pen go? Where are my pens? What did I do with my pens? I know I had a bunch of them. I know I had a bunch of pens, man. Fuck. I guess I'm going to have to use this purple. I don't want to use this purple. I got a whole bag of pens. I know a whole thing. Let's see if this will work. There we go. Stop right there. We stop at the next paragraph. I mean, it's a paragraph, but it's not necessarily it's a stopping point. It is a stopping point. We'll stick with it. I guess we'll rock with it. It's the bottom of the page, but it's the only clear stopping point I could have, because there's no sections in this chapter. There's no sections in this chapter like in other books. So we'll stop there. We'll stop there. Man, that sounds like some rough shit right there, baby. Hey, that's definitely a more gruesome explanation or a more gruesome description of the slave trade at that time than in the other books. You know, some of the other books that we have read. Ooh-wee. But hey, we rode well. We rode pretty well today. We read for about an hour. about an hour, 45 minutes or so. And we stopped on page 11. I think the next section or the next episode, we should be able to read the rest of chapter 1. I think we'll be able to read the rest of chapter 1 and make it to chapter 2. That'll be what I'm shooting for. I'll be shooting for the next time. The next time we jump into the sea of pages. Oh, it's cold. I'm getting a chill. And my papa want to go fishing tomorrow, man. If it's cold like this tomorrow, I don't know. I don't know about putting that boat on the water tomorrow. Oh, I don't know. We're going to see. But that has been today's rowing session in the Sea of Pages of the Black Jacobins by C.L.R. James. Oh, yeah, some stuff in here. There's some stuff in here. A couple of words had to be looked up. Ooh, excuse me. But we're going to keep pushing, man, one day at a time. One day at a time, man. We have all that we need to succeed, so we got to keep moving. We got to keep moving and keep on doing what we got to do. Keep moving and doing what we got to do. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Let's keep moving. We have, since we worked our body, worked our mind, let's go ahead and work our body one last time before we roll out of here, before we end the episode today, man. I hope you enjoyed the reading or the rowing of the Sea of Pages. Like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your people, man. Shiloh out here reading shit, man. We learning some stuff. We doing stuff. Oh, that's what we're going to be doing. Creating better habits, creating better us's. That's the plan. So give me 25 things. Get your ass up. Give me 25 things so we can finish off the episode for today. And you can get up and go do whatever else you need to do. Give me 25 things, whatever it is. I'm going to go ahead and do some more jumping jacks, man. I'm going to do me some more jumping jacks. Some more jumping jacks. I'm going to do me 50 of them. Let's go. 50. I'm going to ask you 25. You do 25. I'm going to do 50. But 25 or whatever you can do, man. I'm going to do jumping jacks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. I did me. I hope you did me. As the captain of the ship, I got to do a little more. All I ask of you, though, is 25. 25. See, I done did 100. I done did 100 jumping jacks for this episode. How many of whatever you did have you done? All you need to do is 50. Man, something is better than nothing. And I done did something. And I hope you did something. So let's keep moving. Let's keep having some motion. Let's keep having the motion. Let's keep progressing. Let's keep prospering. Let's keep succeeding. Let's keep excelling. Let's keep being amazing. Because that's what we are, and that's what you are. Let's go. We got it in us. We got it in us. We have all we need to succeed, baby. You have all you need to succeed. So let's succeed. Let's succeed. Whatever it is. So one book at a time, one episode at a time, man. One chapter at a time, here a little, there a little, till we find the treasures that await us, till we expose the truths from the lies, till we see what they have hid in books from us, and for me to do my part in the revolution. By reading. I'll read that thing. I ain't tripping. I'll read that thing. If that's what's going to help the revolution move further and farther, I'll read. I'll do my part. I ain't tripping. Till next time, man. That'll end the episode today, man. I gotta get to carving. Get back to carving. Yeah, get back to carving my shit. I'm gonna finish off this one. Then I gotta jump to the other one. And then jump to the other one. Man, I got a couple to do. Shit, I got other ones I still ain't finished yet. I've been bullshitting. But I realize when there's shit I want to do, I'll make moves on it. Like this one I want to do. So being that I want to do it, I'm making moves on it. But, you know, hey. But we made moves on reading and rowing. So, hey, till next time, man. Shalom, everybody. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, man. I'm out you. Shalom out.